him. Jolly Green Giant in the same place at the same time. That's all I'm saying. Please make some noise for the only comic allowed out here at the niche. 'Cause that's what I've been told. Your friend of mine, Mr. Horror Show Jack. That's a full smattering of applause, my friend. A full smattering. So, top shelf. Top shelf.
Wow.
I'll tell you what goes really well with this comedy too, and that's a drink. So go over there and hit Andy. He'll take good care of you. That's how it works, man. That's how it works. All right.
Once my jokes start making sense, then you know you've had too much.
Do I have auto intoxication?
Wow. I gotta be the only comic that gets on stage laughing at someone else's jokes. So it's Christmas time again. Not that we could have forgotten, because it's been in our face since the end of August this year. And yes, I'm allowed back. You would not believe what I had to do to get this position here. All I'll say is my throat is still sore.
He got a
for all
real-
the begging I had to do.
He got a real pretty mouth.
Please let me do this. I want to wear my Santa costume. But seriously, it's December already, and I know like everyone, the older we get, Christmas just gets here faster and faster and faster. It's like, where'd the time go? What I want to know is, where did Halloween go? We had it for 5, maybe 10 minutes, then it's Christmas. I'm like, I know we all had turkey, like Thanksgiving was here and it was gone. So honestly, if you find Halloween, someone let me know where it went. Now I don't know about you guys, but 2024 has been a dog shit year for me. And for most of the other people I've talked to, same thing. As a matter of fact, the only great thing that's happened this year is that Godzilla, after 70 years, finally won an Oscar. And that just tells me one thing. Never give up on your dreams. So I will never give up on my dream. One day, I will be Miss America. I'm so glad you laughed at that. Right. So, Black Friday and Cyber Monday used to be one day. Now it's a whole week. And I feel like it sounds wrong just calling it Black Week. That just sounds a little on the nose. And Cyber Week, I don't know about you guys, but to me that sounds a little porno-ish. But according to social media and the emails I keep getting, the sale's still going. So it's a month long now. And apparently they started before Thanksgiving, which makes no sense. And I can't keep up with any of it. So, screw them, man, Amazon.
Well, Black Friday's just a little longer than all the other ones, right?
I was getting there. You beat me to the punchline, dude. So, have people been going to the mall and the stores and doing your Christmas shopping? Or is everyone as behind as I am on that one? Has anyone been in a parking lot and just heard that evil sound? Hybrids are the devil. I swear to God, it's just complete quiet. And it's like, what the hell is that? I swear, they're evil. It's like a demon in disguise. It's like Christine started the trend, and then does anyone know the name of the person who came up with the hybrid? I know it was one person, I can't remember the name. It was like, I've got an idea. I want a vehicle that just sounds really scary. Makes no sound, but if it's really quiet, you hear it. I'm pretty sure there's been an old person in a parking lot, heard that noise, the devil, because you know they were diehard Christians. We are in the South. I'm going here for that joke too. So, this joke isn't going to be as funny because 2 people aren't here, but I'm going to do it anyway. I have this ability to put the fear of the gods in men when I'm talking to them and they're near their significant other because of one thing I say that's about myself. Is that, just so you know, I am an ordained minister. And when I said that to Marsha and Tommy, you should have seen the look on Tommy's face. It was just like, dude, I hate you. I mean, his eyes were so wide, I thought they were going to fall out of his skull. So, back in September, I found a new way of getting rejected by a woman. I know, big surprise, I'm standing up here in a Santa costume. That looks like I'm from the great Norse legends and doing comedy. However, I do this thing when I'm talking to a woman and I notice she's not wearing a ring on that finger, and I say, after not right away, but after talking for a few minutes, I ask them, so, are you married? And if they happen to say no, they normally don't, ergo why I'm single. But when they do, I just take a step closer and I'm like, do you want to be? So I said this to this woman. I'm talking to her and her sister at the after party, And I noticed she doesn't have a ring on her finger, and she seems to be into all the same stuff that I'm into. And I say, so, are you married? And she looks at me, she's like, actually, I'm widowed recently. And I'm like, oh God. Now, I didn't feel horrible because she was widowed. I felt horrible because of the first thing that popped into my head. The first thing that popped into my head was, did you kill him? Now, I didn't say that right away. You gotta talk to a person, get to know how dark their sense of humor is before you accuse them of killing their husband. But she found it actually quite amusing, and I actually told that joke at a show that I was doing at a VIP show in Kentucky, and she was actually in the audience, and oddly enough, we're friends now. So, I did a show back in October, and I was sharing my booth space with a friend of mine, and he had to go to his van to get some stuff. And after about half an hour, I'm noticing, I'm like, he hasn't come back yet. Then all of a sudden, so I grab my phone, and I've got a text message. And the text message says, I've snapped you 8 times. My first thought was, I didn't feel anything. Then I thought, oh, Snapchat. So I go over to Snapchat, and this is what the message goes, and I've memorized it. I know I've been gone for over half an hour. You're probably wondering where I am. Well, I accidentally locked myself in my minivan, and the back of the minivan doesn't have an outlet to get out, and there's too much stuff in my van for me to crawl over to get to the back seat or the front seat and get out. And I've been knocking on the glass and waving to people as they walk by, and all they're doing is smiling and waving at me. So, could you come save me, because it's getting hot and I'm getting thirsty? And I was like, why didn't you just call? Why would you keep snapping and realizing that I'm not responding? Then why wasn't this message in the text message? It was like a treasure hunt. Find out what I need. So I went over, and I'm walking over to my friend Lisa, who's my booth manager, goes, where are you going? I'm like, I must go. Someone is in peril. So I walk to the parking lot. I come up to his back windshield, and he's just like, I open the door, I'm like, I can tell you why no one helped you. Because you look like a lunatic. They're probably like, I can see why his family left him in the car. It's like, we don't want this jackass walking around the show with us. Thank you. So, I apologize for the story in advance, but it really happened. So I have my own business, and I order stuff off of Temu, Amazon, and eBay. So I get a thing in the mail, and it's on my front steps. So I take it up, and I go inside, and I open it up. First thing I pull out are knockoff Jinko jeans. I'm like, I know I didn't order these. Then I pull out a gothic-y white tank top. I'm like, I know I didn't order that, but I know who I'm going to give that to. Along with a long-sleeve tank top with angel wings on the back. I'm like, I know exactly who I'm giving that to. I check the package, my address, no name, but my address. Then I pull out a gift bag. Then I pull out this white sack that you can't see through. So I undo the thing, pull it out, and there's another sack that you can't see through it. It's kind of flesh coloring, and it's silicone. I am not making one word of this up. And I look at it, I'm like, what? It was a pocket pussy. I'm like, I know I didn't order that. Then I pull that loop, now I'm looking at the pack. I'm looking all over, I'm like, okay, that's my address. The return address is my address. I'm like, what is going on? And I'm sitting, because I came home, and it was late, it was like 10:30, and I'm like, who can I call to tell about this? But the story didn't end there. Because I gave my friend the t-shirts, because I knew they'd fit them. And I come home from a show, we're emptying out my truck the next day, and this guy, my neighbor, comes walking over to me. He's the new neighbor in the neighborhood. He goes, hi, I hate to bother you. I'm like, yes, because he's a big dude. I'm like, what did I do? I didn't touch your wife. And he goes, my son ordered something and accidentally put your address, and I was like, oh shit. So, thinking quick, because I do shit like this, I go, yes, I know. You know, about a week and a half ago, I got this package. I opened it up, and I noticed a couple things in there. I'm like, I clearly didn't order them, but it was my address, so I just sealed it back up and gave it to our mail carrier. And he goes, do you have a tracking number? I'm like, no! I just gave it to him and said it's not mine. He goes, I don't know what to do. I'm like, well, you're the mail person. You deal with it. And all I thought was, what the hell is going on in your household with you and your family? Because I haven't seen his son. He has a little daughter. And him. My friend's going, if you see people going in and out of his house that look young, maybe you should call the police for sex trafficking. I'm like, oh my. So now every time I come out of the house, I'm like, what's going on over there? His door was open one night when I went for one of my walks at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and there were all these neon strobe lights going. I'm like, is there a dance club in my neighborhood now? So I'm like just sitting there, I'm like, have a few drinks, just go over, start dancing. Clearly I didn't do that because I don't want to get kicked out. But about a year ago, since you brought this up, which I will not drop an F-bomb, but someone told me just about a year ago, you know, when you do comedy, because the first joke I ever told up here was inspired by Marty. He asked me, what am I going to see tonight? And I said, you're going to see me struggle for 15 minutes not to say the F word. And someone came up to me and goes, you know, when the drag queens perform here, Ted lets them say the F word. So maybe you should do your comedy as a drag queen. And my first thought is my drag queen days are long over. And I'm not shaving a beard. However, shut up, Marty. However, just because Ted let them get away with saying the F word, I see his eyes roll back into his head. And one night, I saw them roll so far back in his head. I'm like, Ted, what do you see back there? Anything good? Because I thought he wasn't coming back. Anyone remember The Undertaker from WWE when he did that thing? I mean, that's what Ted looked like. And I understand some people don't like foul language. Ted's the only person who doesn't like foul language that I still actually trust. Most people I know, and I'm like, there's something wrong with you. So, you guys all know I love horror movies, and they just announced about a week and a half ago, they're releasing 28 years later. The trilogy to 28 days later. And this is messing with me, because the first one was 28 days later, then 28 weeks later. What comes next? Months. No, we're skipping that. We went right to 28 years later. And I was like, no, Sony, you can't do that to me. Because as soon as 28 weeks later came out, I'm like, they gotta do the trilogy. They gotta do months. Now, granted, yeah, since the first one's come out, it's been about 28 years. But you go, no, days, weeks, months, years. No, it's like, no, days, weeks, no months, years. So what are we gonna do? Instead of decades, it's gonna be 28 centuries later? When I wrote that joke, I know I'm like the only person that's gonna laugh at that one is Maverick.
I love that.
Anyone else feel lost when you go to the bathroom without your cell phone?
Yeah.
Read the bottle of shampoo.
Anyone who doesn't laugh at that, you know damn well when you run into the bathroom because you have to go and you sit down and you're at the end and you're like, I don't have my phone. What other time can I check my social media? Because think about it, half the comments you get on your social media, your Snapchat, your text messages, you know your buddy's taking a shit. Did you know, did anyone here have a cat? Okay, did you know that the canned cat food, if there is a dent or a bend in it where air can actually get into it, the food will turn white? I didn't know that. I found that out about a week ago. Because I buy them in a box, and one of them was dented, and I opened it up, and I'm like, that's white. I am not smelling it. I'm not feeding it to my cat. I put it in a bag, sealed it up, and took it right outside. So I'm like, there's got to be some deadly pathogen in that, so I'm not dealing with that. So this is the bit. I always have to put a joke like this in just for Jim, because he loves this kind of toilet humor. I was at the post office a week and a half ago, and mailing someone, and the woman in front of me either had one of those silent but deadly ones, this little old lady, because there was no noise, but she either ripped one or shit her pants. I don't know which. All I could tell you was it was bad, and she was a heavy smoker. And I'm talking nicotine, because pot flatulence smell much different than nicotine flatulence. And of course, it's Christmas time. You know you're gonna be there for a really long time, and there's no airflow in the Apex post office. So I'm just, it was not pretty. So Maverick told me that the next time I do this, I have to do a list.
Yes.
So there is a list just for you. I did this last year. I'll do it again this year, and this is a list of jokes that I was written by my co-writer, my friend Alex, who you've heard me talk about before.
Oh yeah.
And one of his favorite types of jokes is orphan jokes. So I said, Alex, I want you to send me a list of your orphan jokes. He goes, why? I'm like, because I'm doing comedy dressed as Santa, and I just think that would be absolutely hilarious. Now the first one I wrote, because I don't know why, I did the math, because I'm 47, and I did the math like 3 weeks ago, and I'm like, wow, 33 years from now, I'll be 80. And the whole weekend I just kept thinking, why did I do the math?
Yeah.
But then it dawned on me, sooner or later, we all reach that age where no matter what, we do become orphans. I'm going to start really dark. What do you call it when an orphan gets kidnapped? Surprise adoption. Every orphan joke is dead, just like their parents.
Oh no.
These are the horrible things we talk about late at night. He literally reads them to me, I'm not kidding. Why don't orphans like getting lost? Because they know someone's going to ask where their parents are. Why do orphans only have 363 days? Because they don't have a Mother or Father's Day. What do treasure and an orphan's parents have in common? You need a shovel to find them.
Oh no.
Why do orphans suck at web design? Because they don't know what a homepage is.
Oh.
What's the difference between outlaws and orphans? Outlaws are actually wanted. What do you call? I shouldn't have added this one, but what do you call a virgin from Alabama? An orphan. I've been to Alabama. That's actually sadly true. I've met some people from down there. They speak of the banjo. How do you make an orphan's hands bleed? Tell them to clap till their parents come home. Why do orphans eat cereal with water? Because dad left and never came home with the milk. I feel that's a different type of joke, but I'm not telling that one. What do you call an orphan in a room full of mirrors? Surrounded by loved ones. What do orphans get for Christmas? Lonely. Why should we stop making orphan jokes? They're going to tell their parents. Oh, wait. Never mind. Let's continue. Why are orphans so bad at dodgeball? Because no one misses them. So I will close with one of the stories that created the legend of Santa Jack, because 25 years ago, because of working retail, anyone here ever else work retail?
Yeah.
That's what made me hate the holiday season, the Christmas season. I hated Christmas. And I grew up with Santa like everybody else, and then I discovered Krampus. I'm like, he's so much cooler. So Santa rewards the good boys and girls. Krampus punishes them. Santa Jack, I'm just here to party. So, Christmas of 1999, I'm working at Tower Records. And I was a supervisor. So basically, it was paid a shit wage to do a managerial job and don't get the credit. So I'm dealing with one customer, and I realize this woman's giving one of my employees a very hard time. So I look at my customer, I'm like, would you mind if I take care of this real quick? And she says yes. So I step over and I start writing out the return slip for my employee. Now my handwriting is awful. Now, when I'm taking my time. Now if I'm rushing, you ever seen Sanskrit or Egyptian hieroglyphics? Not even close. It's not legible at all. So this woman, in the holiday mood, looks at me and goes, is that your real handwriting, is it? What, are you retarded or something? And a light went off in my brain. And that little voice said, opportunity to be an asshole and get away with it. So she hadn't heard me say a word. So I'm at the counter like this, and I just slowly look up and go, I'm doing the best I can. She drops all her shit and runs out of the store. It's quiet. It's a record scratch, but everyone in the store is looking at me, and I was like, well, there's one bitch who won't be calling anyone retarded for it anytime soon. So I finish what I'm doing. She will not come into the store until I go in the back. I go in the back, she comes in. Another one of the supervisors are taking care of her transaction. She's just doing this the whole time. And I'm looking through the peephole, and I'm waiting till she's done. And then I walk right up to her, and she has that look of dread. I'm like, have a good night. And she's just like, you ever seen Control-Alt-Delete, all the gears grinding? And I almost said I didn't, because I hated the job. I didn't want to get fired. I'm like, don't call me a retarded bitch. My name is Andrew. I'm a horror show Jack. Happy horror holidays, everyone. Thank you for having me.